Hey Giants fans, welcome back to Giants Latest, the number one place for all things New York Giants. Make sure you hit that subscribe because I am at Quest every single day during the week for training camps. I was there yesterday. Today we are recapping day number 2. This is everything that you need to know about practice today. So the good news is that everyone was healthy. Knock on wood, there were no issues or anything from yesterday. And it's crazy because as I'm driving, I see the news about Justin Fields, and these poor guys have torn ACL. So knock on wood, let's just hope that the Giants continue on with their healthiness. So there were some better things today, some good things that I saw, and then, some not great things. But let's start with the offense because yesterday we talked about how the offense was a little sloppy. There were some throws that were not good, drop passes, things like that. Today was definitely better. I will say that the quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart, because Jackson Dart is getting basically all of the reps with the twos, those guys started off practice strong. A lot of really great throws, no tipped passes or anything like that. Towards the end of the practice, got a little sloppy, some not so great throws. But overall, much better day, I would say, for the two of them. Russell Wilson, beautiful deep ball to Wan'Dale Robinson in the end zone for a touchdown. Obviously, him and Malik Neighbors have continued on with their show of things from yesterday. So Malik Neighbors obviously heavily involved and caught some great passes, of course, for touchdowns from Russell Wilson. Someone else I want to talk about on the offense who has been heavily involved is Theo Johnson. I've seen him a lot catching passes from Russell Wilson. Today, even more so than yesterday. And we know last year that they loved Theo, right? Like they threw him right in. They were like, we don't care that you're a rookie. Get right in there and figure it out. And he was coming on before he got injured. So I would expect a big year this year from Theo Johnson. I think that he's going to take that leap forward. Obviously, the injury kind of slowed him down a little bit last year, but I think him being fully healthy, he's going to have a big year this year. Now, obviously, a lot of that depends on the offensive line, but even last year when the O-line was just okay, not great, not awful, Theo Johnson was getting a decent amount of targets. So expect to see more of that this year. I know there's been some concerns that Russell Wilson doesn't normally throw to his tight ends and this and that. Not here. Not here. Theo Johnson involved. The tight ends as a whole have all been really involved. I've seen Greg Dulcich catch passes from Tommy DeVito and Jackson Dart. I have seen Thomas Fidone catch a lot of passes from between Winston and Tommy DeVito. Who else? Bellinger's been involved a little bit. I would say Bellinger I've seen used probably the least as a pass catcher, just out of the whole. Like when I've been watching the tight ends in regards to being pass catchers during camp so far, not a ton of Daniel Bellinger. He's been used on special teams, which has been interesting. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens, but I guess at this point, I don't know if it would surprise me if Fidone takes over that role. And Theo, no questions asked, is going to be the starter. Even Chris Manhertz caught a touchdown yesterday from Theo Johnson, from Russell Wilson. So he's another guy that also has been involved quite a bit with this offense. So get excited for the tight ends because I think they're going to be a big focal point of this offense this year. Couple other players. Wan'Dale Robinson had a really nice day, caught quite a few passes from Russell Wilson. One that was a beautiful deep ball in the back corner of the end zone. Of course, Malik Neighbors obviously also had a great day. Cam Skattebo is a guy that is so fun to watch. Now, they're not tackling, so, if he catches the ball out of the backfield and running and guys are, acting like they would be tackling, it's basically two-hand touch a little bit. He's been able to kind of run right through them. And I just feel like because of his size and his strength, he is going to be someone that even at the NFL level, it's going to take a lot of people to tackle him. So I'm really excited to see him continue, especially once the pads come on, which is going to be Sunday. So the tackling is going to begin. And then I think we're really going to have a better idea of what these guys actually look like. So super excited about a lot of the young guys, and Cam Skattebo is obviously one of them. Moving along to some of the twos. So Jackson Dart, better day today. I would say towards the end, again, had some missed throws, ended with a few incompletions, but he looked better from the get-go, which is important, right? Yesterday, we talked about the fact that he opened up with this pick six to Nick Jones, and, the biggest thing that Dable said is you just don't want to see these guys make the same mistakes over and over again because then you can't trust them to get on the field and not make those mistakes. So Jackson Dart, first throw of the 11 on 11s, deep ball touchdown to Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is a guy who got a lot of his reps with the twos. Him and Jackson Dart were in there a lot more today than they were yesterday. And the rotations, there's been a lot of rotations. Like sometimes it's been really hard for me to even keep up because every time I go to post something, like make sure you're following on Instagram at New York Giants Fangirl because I've been posting a ton of videos from practice there. And every time I look down and I go to post the video, I'm like, wait, Cordell Flott is in and Jackson Dart is in over here and Jameis Winston is rotated over here. So there are a ton of rotations going on. But what I will say is, from the twos, Jackson Dart got most, if not all, of the reps today, where yesterday there was more of a rotation between him and Jameis Winston. Now it's day 2. Let's see how that progresses. But I really like that Dable is focusing on the rotations, getting all these guys in and see how they do with the 2s and 3s. Another guy, Turbo Miller, who is a running back, who was a UDFA last year, South Carolina guy. He is super fast. He ran a 4.440. So he's got that really good speed aspect to him. He was rotated in a bins with a bit with the 2s today, and he looked pretty good when he's been out there. One thing about the running backs as a whole is they have all been used as pass catchers. And we talked about this with Tyrone Tracy because he was doing a lot today as well. Cameron Scadaboo, Turbo Miller, Devin Singletary, every single one of them used as a pass catcher. Something that I think the Giants offense is really going to focus on this year. Also, while we're on the subject of the Giants offense, Mike Kafka was and has been calling the plays. So wanted to make sure I don't forget to tell you guys that. He's got the walkie-talkie. Let's see. I think that they've made their decision. I think they're going to do the whole like, oh, we're going to wait to see how preseason goes. I think Kafka's calling the plays this year. But anyway, I've liked what I've seen from the offense. Better day, I think, overall from everyone. Let's move along to the defense now because Drew Phillips had a really, really nice one-handed grab interception in the end zone. Really, really nice play by him. This is what I want to see these guys, okay? Yesterday we had Nick Jones who came out of nowhere with that pick 6. The treasure chest came out. I want to see this start to develop. We talked about how in OTAs there was a big focus on turnovers with this whole treasure chest thing. It's translating a little bit in training camp, but it has to continue, right? Unacceptable what they did last year where they had 6 interceptions for 17 games. That is unacceptable. So this year, want to see it continue to translate. And there's always going to be interceptions. There's going to be ones that the players make, but I want to see it more consistently. And I want to see it from the guys like Newbin and Dane Belton, who are supposed to be these turnover machines, right? They can do it in the spring. They can do it in the summer. It has to translate. So I want to see that continue. We have to talk about Nick Jones because he is a cornerback who kind of came out of nowhere for the Giants. They signed him recently. He's got some experience in the NFL. He is a veteran, but he seemingly came out of nowhere. Yesterday makes this pick 6 on Jackson Dart. Today, in the rotations with the 2s, again, remember, Jackson Dart was getting reps with the 2s and the 3s yesterday. Today, all 2s. Nick Jones in with the 2s. Him, Dane Belton, Cordell Flott, those were guys that were really rotated in with the 2s. Saw Nacho in with the 2s too. And Nick Jones makes another play today that would have been a sack on Jackson Dart if it was a game. He got there, got home. I think he is going to force this Giants front office to have him make the roster. I thought it was going to be Makari Page. Makari Page has been mostly with the 4s, a little bit with the 3s. The fact that Nick Jones in day 2 is already forcing the reps with the 2s says a lot to me. Now, it's day 2. He has to continue that, and we know that Dable likes the rotations, but it's what a lot of these guys have said, right? And Jalen Hyatt has reiterated this. When your number is called, wherever it is, whether it's with the 1s or the 4s, you have an opportunity there to make a play, and it's up to you to make that damn play. And Nick Jones said, I don't care where I'm getting reps, I'm making plays today. Love it. I really want to see that continue. It was really exciting. He's a guy that has been really fun to watch. Even Trey Hawkins was getting some reps with the 2s, had a really nice pass breakup today. So, I think there's a lot of good things coming out of camp. Obviously, we have to take everything with a grain of salt, right? That's at the forefront of all of this. But I just want to call out some of the plays because I think it's exciting that Giants football is really back, but this is the time of year where there's always players who seemingly come out of nowhere. It's a David Sills. Last year was a Deontay Johnson. This year, mark my words, it's Nick Jones. He's going to be the guy that continues, I think, every day to get better and to force his way onto this roster. That 4 safety spot is open. Why not it be him? I think he also is a corner, but I feel like he's been used kind of in both ways. So maybe he'll force the 6th spot for the corners. It's going to be very interesting to see. What else do I want to tell you guys? Okay, I was asked a lot about, did you see packages where all three rushers were on the field? The answer to that is yes, and I saw it quite a few times today. I was like, wish I had binoculars out there. I was a lot closer today though, so I had a better view. But every time the ones were out there, I'm like this, looking, okay, see Kayvon, I see Burns. I want to call him Aziz because they have the same number. Is Abdul Carter out there? And I did see the three of them out there on multiple occasions. Abdul Carter is a monster. I know we know this. There were plays where the way that he just aggressively went after John Michael Schmitz, the way that he would have had multiple sacks throughout this practice today, I was like, I love him. So excited to watch him. And to just know Burns and Hudson also, those two are going to fight again at some point. They were going at it today to the point where even James Hudson on one rep had him on the ground. And I was like, good for you, sir. Good for you. You are probably going to end up being the left tackle if Andrew Thomas is not ready to go week 1. This is what I want to see. I don't want to see that from Burns, but to be fair, Burns has made majority of the plays on Hudson. So the fact that Hudson every once in a while can get in there makes me feel a little bit better. So that's been a really fun matchup to watch. We have to talk more about the corners because I want to talk about Cordell Flott and Tay Banks. So yesterday, there was a real rotation opposite Paulson Adebo, which, by the way, Paulson Adebo has been fantastic. He's going up against Neighbors. Those two have been super fun to watch. I honestly think that the best corners in the NFL are going to struggle against Neighbors. The guy is just an absolute freak, but I think it's really good practice to watch Paulson go against him, and it's been really competitive. Paulson keeps up with him really well. He's made a couple plays on the ball. Malik is just Malik. The guy's a freak. Like, it's just... I don't think anyone's going to be able to really beat him one-on-one. So we have that going for us. But opposite Paulson Adebo is Tay Banks and Cordell Flott. Yesterday, there was a real rotation. We saw both of them getting rotated in at cornerback 2. Today, not so much. It was Tay Banks who got most of the snaps at cornerback 2 with the 1s. I saw Cordell Flott a lot more with the 2s today. Now, we'll see what tomorrow holds. Again, Dabo is so big on the rotation. Like, with the 1s, it's Dexter Lawrence, and then it's the 3 edge rushers, or it's him, Roy Robertson Harris. It's Micah McFadden, Bobby O, and Newbin and Holland, and then Banks, Phillips, and Adebo. Like, that's who the starting rotation is going to be. But every time I look up, there's different players in. So there really is a heavy rotation. I think it's great. And also, I just really like to see how guys stack up. So when Nacho is in there opposite Dexter, they even had Elijah Chapman in getting some reps with the 1s when Dexter Lawrence was on the side. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that progresses. I saw Jordan Riley getting snaps with the 2s. DJ Davidson was in with the 2s. So a lot of rotations going on, and I'm trying to remember like everything I saw while I'm here, so I'm sorry if this feels like a little chaotic. I'm just like, things are popping into my brain and I'm like, I gotta make sure I tell them this. So I think that covers off on it. The other thing I want to say is that they're not in pads, so they're not tackling, just a reminder, but I will say that you really do get a good view of the toughness of the players. Like, they are out there and they are fighting for their lives. Like, the Burns and Hudson, the way that they were going at it, like, looked like it would have been a real game. And if they have pads on, like, someone would have been fully tackled to the ground early on. The way that the wide receivers are going all out, they're, sliding into the corners, making sure they get both feet in the end zone, fighting for balls. Like, the competitiveness is really there. And I think that's really important because I think as fans, we maybe have questioned a little bit of the toughness that we have seen from this football team over the last couple years. And I know that losing does a number on them, but to see them all duking it out at camp, I love it. I love the toughness. I love the competitiveness. They are fighting for roster spots, and I want to see them do that week in and week out when they are fighting for wins. So it's been really fun to watch. I'm super excited to get back to it tomorrow and can't wait to see what kind of changes Dable makes, especially with the rotation. So stay tuned for that. I don't really have a lot to say about special teams today, guys. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Graham Gano looked great. Jamie Gillen switched from number 6 to number 12, so I think Jackson Dart is going to be sticking with number 6. If anyone's interested in jerseys or anything like that, it looks like that's going to be the case. And, they all looked normal. I didn't see anyone different from yesterday, who was back on the punt or kickoff returns. Amir Smith-Marset was used a little bit as a wide receiver. He was in with the 2s and 3s and looked pretty good in the slot. So, but nothing really exciting from special teams. So that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe because tomorrow I'm going to be back with more.